Hey guys, how's it going? This is the Anime Convention Beginner's Guide. Today we're going to talk about room parties. A room party can make or break a convention for people a lot like a costume, especially if you're the one throwing it. Not just, in expenses, but it's a fairly substantial source of con drama for a lot of people. But, if you do it right, you can avoid that for the most part. The first thing you want to look at is who you want at your party. What kind of party are you going to throw? Is it going to be a kid-friendly party? Is it going to be for everyone? Just adults? Or just your friends? Once you figure that out, you can start the planning process. And everything hinges on what kind of party you want to throw. Kid-friendly parties can be a lot more fun than it sounds. A lot of time they're based around like video game tournaments and stuff like that. It's cheaper to run like a kid-friendly party than it is an adults-only party because there's no alcohol most of the time. I would really suggest not having any alcohol in the room if you're going to have a kid-friendly party, just because it only takes one of them getting hold of a drink to get you in trouble, and you don't want that. That's con drama. Don't want con drama. So I mean, for the kids' party, you could do like candy, pop, chips, stuff that's it adds up, but it's relatively cheap, and you can just bring like a folding table or something if you want to. For any of the parties, though, I would suggest putting like plastic down over the carpets, a lot like you'll see in the con suites. That will protect the carpet from spills and stuff. And spills will more than likely happen, even if it's just a little, I bumped this guy and it kind of splashed over the side of his cup kind of thing. You have to remember any damage to the room, is going to go against whoever signed for the room. So, and you don't want to spend any more money than you have to. Property damage charges can add up really quick. If you're going to do a kids' party, especially, if you want to base it around like a video game tournament or just playing video games, make sure the games that you bring are, maybe T or lower, you're rated T or E or whatever. Just because, if you're going to have M-rated stuff, a lot of people don't care about it, but you're going to get one or two of the parents that are like, oh, you can't have, I don't want my kid exposed to this and that, and whatever. I mean, obviously then you could just ask them to leave, but, if you really want to make it kid-friendly, stick to stuff that kids can do without worrying about them getting in trouble with their parents or you getting in trouble with their parents, because sometimes they can come unglued on you, and you don't want that. An everyone party is probably the easiest one to do, because you're not focusing on one extreme or the other. You can just throw a party. You don't have to have a ton of alcohol. You don't have to have ton of kid type stuff going on. Just a party. Anytime you're serving alcohol at your party, you want to make sure whoever is getting the drinks is getting carded. And keep an eye on where they go after that, too. I mean, you don't have to follow the people around after they pick up their alcohol, but just kind of keep an eye on what's going on. Because if somebody's getting alcohol for a little kid or whatever, and then you just have troubles. If it's an everyone party, you just do like the bartender carding people. But if it's an adult party, have the person carding at the door. You might even want to have them card again when they get their drinks. And it never hurts. And don't use the adult badge thing. Don't use that as proof of adulthood. Ever. Adults only parties. It can be a lot of fun. A lot of times, this is where you're going to see like kind of mini raves going on in the rooms. Most of the time it's all alcohol with, you know, a few snacks here and there. But keep in mind that with that, you have to be cautious of what's going on at all times, because you don't know how much they've had to drink before they get there. And so even if you have like a 1-drink limit or whatever in your party, things can get out of hand pretty easily. So just make sure whoever is running your party, no matter what kind of party it is, make sure they're all on top of things at all times. Everybody has a specific job to do. You have like a badger, a bartender, a food refiller person, maybe somebody just to monitor what's going on, just keep an eye on everything. You know, depending on your party, you're going to need people that are stationed for specific tasks, so you don't lose track of anything. You know, if you have just a bunch of friends throwing a party, and everybody's drinking, pretty soon everybody is drunk. The people that are running the party are drunk, and then, well, there go the rules. Anything goes, and there goes, you know, all the motel property damage bills, and the police are called in because minors are getting alcohol. Your stuff gets broken. Your stuff gets stolen because you're all too drunk to realize what's going on. Fights break out because there's nobody sober there to break them up. Set clear guidelines on when it's going to start and when it's going to end. You could do a deal where it starts at 7 and then goes until the party kind of dies off. But if you do that, be prepared to stay up until 5 or 6 in the morning, or just kick people out after a certain time and just be like, okay, now we got to go to bed. If you do it that way, remember that you're going to have at least time to, you know, find your bed amongst the mess. You're probably going to want to clean it all up before you go to bed, because the next morning you might sleep in too late, and especially if you have to like check out of the hotel room, you might not have time to pack all that stuff up. So regardless of when your party ends, make sure that you have time afterwards to clean it all up. Advertising your party. If you want to do a friends only party, you don't need to advertise. But anything else you want to know, you want to think about it ahead of time, how much you want to spread that. Do you want everybody to show up, or even all of the adults or whatever, or all the kids? If that's the case, you're going to want to print up flyers, post them, you know, wherever the hotel allows you to. A lot of times you'll just be walking down the hall and see random signs for different parties. Make sure they're specific as to what room it is and when, and what kind of party it is. But if you want a lot of people, you got to do the flyers thing. You got to talk to everybody, tell everybody to spread the word, say this and this is going on at this time. If you want people to show up but just don't want to get overwhelmed, just do the word of mouth thing. It doesn't spread nearly as fast as people walking down the hall seeing posters or whatever. And that way, you won't get as many random, I'm looking for a room party to go to people. You know, if you don't have signs up, because you know they're not going to know you're throwing a party on the other side of the building if they don't see a sign for it. Protect your stuff. If you have to, keep it in the car. I mean all of your stuff, because anytime you let strangers into the room, you run the risk of your stuff walking away with them, and or breaking. A lot of people just keep everything in the bathroom and make the bathroom off limits. That's a good idea to do anyway, even if you don't keep your stuff in the bathroom, make it off limits. Remember, anything that you bring that can be broken potentially will be, because you're dealing with people that you've never met before. They don't necessarily treat their stuff the same way as you do, so don't expect them to. Obviously, if you're going to a room party, just treat other people's stuff with respect. But not everybody does that, so keep that in mind. If you have a controller that you really love that you don't want broken or whatever, hide it or just don't bring it. If you're going to do the video game thing and you have controllers that are subpar, like off-brand things or things that are kind of junkers, use those. I wouldn't suggest leaving your good stuff out for people to break. Keep your costumes simple. If you want to wear a costume at your party, make sure that it doesn't have anything sticking out of it or anything that's going to be fumbling around or broken or whatever. You want to be able to move among the people in your room really easily so you can get to where you need to get right now. It's not necessary to wear your costume at the party. If you want to make it a themed party, then it's probably a good idea. But keep in mind that the more people you cram in the room, the harder it's going to be for you to move around in there. The hallways are one thing, but when you cram a bunch of people into a little room, it makes it really hard to restock your food and drinks. Food, drink, alcohol, cups, plates, silverware, napkins, maybe take-home cups. The disposable cups are best for, just everybody's drinks, whether they be, alcoholic or not. And if you're selling alcohol, or, maybe even if you're not, you could have like a tip jar there. Because you can't really charge people to get into your party. Rules and regulations might vary where you're at. I would look into that if you want to even do something like that. But keep a tip jar so people can, donate for being there. Don't push it because that can scare people away too. It's like, well, if you're going to have a party with a tip jar, you can't really expect me to put money in there. But most people will. They'll put something in there. Don't expect a whole lot. But if you're going to a party, remember that every little bit helps. And if you're going to consume their stuff, try to give back something. If you can't, then no big deal. But just keep that in mind. Everything costs money. Aside from the disposable cups, a good way to do like the alcohol thing is, especially if you have a lot of different kinds of alcohol and you just kind of have a bar or whatever, use the cheaper stuff for the majority of the guests. But I've seen it where you can buy like the take-home cups, just nothing fancy. Just go to Walmart or whatever and buy, cheap plastic cups, not the disposable ones, but regular drinking glasses or whatever, and say, okay, well, it's $5 for this cup, and then if you have the cup, you have access to the top shelf stuff. If you don't have one of these $5 cups in your hand, then you just get the cheaper versions of the alcohol. There again, you can't really charge for the alcohol because you'd have to have like a liquor license or whatever. But that's another way to get around losing money. You don't want to lose money. Really, obviously, if you're throwing a party, it's going to cost money. But if you can recover some of that through tips and the $5 cup thing or whatever, then it'll help a lot. Garbage can. Make sure you have a garbage can accessible to everybody in the room. I know most hotel rooms have the little trash cans that hold, this really little plastic bags or whatever that, are full in 2 minutes. You might consider actually going to, get an actual garbage can. Even if it's just for the weekend or whatever, spend $10-20 on this garbage can to have in the room. That way, it'll cut down on people leaving stuff around so it gets knocked over and spilled. It'll cut down on the time you have to spend picking stuff up after other people. And, it'll just keep your party looking nice. Try to remember that the position of your room door kind of invites or repels people. For example, if you have a closed door with no sign on it, nobody's going to know that there's a room party there. If you have the door wide open and nobody's standing there, they're going to assume that you can just walk in and eat your food and play your games and stuff. If you want to make it friends only, keep your door closed. If you want to make it an everyone party, keep it open. Maybe put a sign next to the door because they're not going to see the sign on the door not necessarily if it's open. If it's an adult-only party, make sure somebody's standing at the door to keep the kids out. You know, even if you have the bartender carding people, somebody standing at the door will cut down the number of people that aren't supposed to be there. Remember that room parties don't necessarily have to be at night. There is, I know, a party that goes on every year. I think that, I don't know if they do more than one convention, but there's one in the cities that does like a Saturday morning type of a room party thing, like just like in the mornings or whatever. You go in and you watch like 80s cartoons and eat cereal and stuff in your pajamas or whatever. It's really cool. If you guys are watching, hey, how's it going? Other than that, use your imagination. The more imaginative your party is, the more word of mouth will spread. Especially if you plan on going to the convention more than one time. I mean, like the same one. Or if you're going to go to multiple conventions, and I think Gojira is one that goes to multiple conventions. That's a pretty big one, and they're really cool. So I mean, like that way, if somebody knows you're going to be at a convention, they'd be like, "Oh, where's so and so's party? Oh, cool! I'm going to go to that. That was awesome last year." Okay. One more little alcohol thing. Make sure nobody leaves with a drink in their hand. If you do the whole buy the $5 cup thing for the top shelf stuff, fine, but make them dump it out before they leave. Make sure that whoever's standing at the door is checking for that, because anything that is brought out of that room and given to somebody else, you're responsible for that. You let them go. If they get into the car or whatever, then and it depends on where you live too. Maybe the rules don't apply that way, but for the most part, you just want to be cautious anytime you have people leaving the room with containers that could have alcohol in them. Hey, thanks for watching my video. That's all I've got for like room party tips and stuff right now. If you guys can think of anything that I forgot, or any questions or comments, post them below, and I'll talk about them later. Next, I'm going to be doing the construction videos. My brother actually decided on a costume. We're going to do a Pokemon. It's probably going to be a Jinka because it's a Escavalier. If you don't know what it is, it's basically like a snail that's got two giant lances, and it doesn't really have feet, so it's going to have to be a Gajinka. I think I could still play around with the stuff. Anyway, yeah, that's probably all I have. If you like what you saw, subscribe. If you didn't like what you saw, check out the other videos anyway, because there might be something you do like. And other than that, yeah, that's all I got right now. Till next time, remember kids, only you can prevent con drama.